dolls are coming out. How are you, John?
Sharon Owen, good morning.
Wow. Where is that?
It's the People's Fountain of Friendship in Vidin-Ha, which is in English kind of a cultural park. It's kind of an exhibition park in Moscow, up near the Botanical Gardens. And this was built behind me in 1954 to kind of show the friendship with all the Soviet republics, a lot of which don't exist anymore, like Lithuania and Latvia, but it's still a beautiful sculpture. And I'm in this park, which is at its height. It was built in the 30s by the Stalin regime, and at its height had 11 million visitors a year. So it had agricultural fairs, space fairs, amazing buildings here, and I think they're going to try and make it a bit of a hub in Moscow over the coming years.
All right, cool. So you're back in Moscow?
Yes, got the overnight train. A bit like Metallica's Enter Sandman. Sleep with one eye open, holding your pillow tight. But no, it's no. I'm only joking. It was it was grand, and that was after watching England France Panama yesterday by 6-1.
Okay, we'll definitely talk about the football in 1 minute, but tell us a bit more about this train. What was it like? Is it like a double decker? Is it jammed? Is it full of English fans singing? What was it like?
No English fans really, and very few English fans really there yesterday in comparison to what you would think. The train is like, I thought it was like, I don't know if you've ever been to Holland, where they have these double-decker trains where you actually go upstairs and sit upstairs, and that's what I thought I was getting when I was booking it, but actually it's a sleeper train. So I remember the James Bond, when you'd be in the sleeper train and be attacked by Jaws back in the day, if you remember those movies. Richard Keel. But you're in a very cramped sleeper compartment, and you pull the bunks down, so it's four to a compartment. So I was with a few foreign journalists, but I was on the top bunk, and you're trying to not fall out of the thing. And that's what we tried to do, and obviously it's comfortable enough, to be fair, and I got a bit of shut eye, so a bit of half sleep as it would. Daniel McDonald, to be fair to him, was in the compartment next to me, so I just said, Daniel, I'll turn off my phone, you wake me up, make sure I don't end up in St. Petersburg. So luckily we got here,
Very good. Okay, so let's talk about the football then, because predictably the English media have gone into overdrive, and I was making the point a little bit earlier on, why shouldn't they? Like, there's so few opportunities for sports fans to actually legitimately believe that something miraculous might happen for their team, that brief window, when it's open, you should fly through it, and who cares what happens next? They've got this Go on.
Would we do the same?
Yes.
We do the same? Didn't we do the same after the Sweden game at the Euros?
Yes.
When we drew. So England have not a lot to shout about, probably since the Sven days. When they were getting to quarterfinals of tournaments and then blowing it on penalties. So, look, I think they're very nice. I think Gareth Southgate's done an amazing job in terms of the messaging. And they're just seen as a young team with a great team spirit. So I'm all for it. And they've got players who are playing well. Harry Kane, not a lot of teams, like Germany, don't have a striker like Harry Kane in their team. There's, like, whatever about the facile nature of the opposition yesterday, that first penalty, was rifled into the back of the net with conviction. He scored now 18 goals in 26 appearances for England, and he's flying. And momentum is a great thing, and I think a lot of tournaments that are won through momentum. And I think a lot of teams like Argentina have got no momentum from the get-go in this World Cup. I suppose the real question is, lads, we've played exactly half the matches now. 32 games, we've had 85 goals, no scoreless draws, which is great about the World Cup. Every game we've had a goal. But I suppose I'm baffled as much as anybody else. I've no idea who's going to win this World Cup. Of course, you have your tips and your fancies. I fancy Brazil. But I still don't know, and I still don't think people even know how well England are going to do. Are they going to come unstuck when they actually meet a real team in the last 16, be it Colombia or Senegal or Japan? Or are they going to ride this wave of momentum and go further than people might have thought at the outset?
Just on Southgate, John, like a lot of people we've been talking about it all tournament, the positive mentality that he's created and the positive environment around the squad. But does that mean he's not getting the credit he deserves as a coach? I mean, 4 of the 11 corners they've had in this year's World Cup have resulted in goals. That would suggest, even just on the set pieces alone, that he's coached them to the nth degree, that they're very well organised, that Gareth Southgate really, as a tactician, is a very, very bright mind.
Well, he knows what he wants to do. I think that's the first thing about tactics. He knows what he wants to do with his team, and then it's just a case of which personnel fit into the structure. The structure is 3-5-2. The structure is playing football with your feet, like so from Pickford out. Stones, good footballing player, and giving young players like Lingard, Loftus-Cheek confidence. I think that's a very fair point, Owen. I suppose Southgate's career has been limited. Middlesbrough didn't really work out for him, but maybe that was a chalice that was too poisoned anyway. Done well with the underage teams, but they're very hard. It's very hard to judge how that will translate. Of course, he was a bit of an accidental president, wasn't he? The fact that Sam Allardyce will only last 67 days, but he's done everything right, and I think it is a fair point that. But I suppose, has he been tested tactically? And he won't get tested. The first test will come against Belgium in Kaliningrad on Thursday. And as Jamie Carragher rightly points out, I think in an article today, they need to almost treat it like a last 16 game. They're ahead of Belgium. They've scored exactly conceded the amount of same goals, 8 scored and 2 conceded, both countries. England are leading the group on the fact that they've had less yellow cards. But I think England need to approach the game with the same attitude. Let's go and try and win the game. And who knows how the chips will fall in terms of the other groups. Germany might end up topping the group after all if Sweden beat Mexico and Germany hammer South Korea. And Brazil are not guaranteed, even though they're leading that group now, that tight group with Serbia and Switzerland, to lead that group. So sometimes you can be too clever in these things, and I think Southgate's message will be to just drive it on.
Well, they'll know those games you're talking about are the Wednesday, and England are the Thursday, I think. Or yeah, so
that's right. They will know. Yes.
What would you do if you knew that you have Brazil and Germany on one side, and you've got Poland, well, obviously not Poland, but Senegal and Japan on the other? I mean, I'm tempted at that stage to go, look, we've got a really big squad. It's important that everybody gets a bit of game time. Off you go, lads. And if you win, you win. And if you don't, who cares? You
never stop a horse, lads. You never stop a horse. So the horse knows if you stop it. So that's my kind of an old John Duggan saying. So no, I if it was me, and as a football fan, momentum is huge. Momentum is huge, and I think they need to test themselves against Belgium. I don't know what Martinez is going to do. Like, he was coming out with these pronouncements that he's going to rest Lukaku, who's got a bit of an ankle knock. Eden Hazard's got a calf problem, but it's very, very minor. Dries Mertens has got an ankle problem. I suppose he wants to try out the likes of Kompany and Vermaelen, who haven't started Vermaelen. But it's a bit of a dead rubber, but I think you have to ride the wave, and you have to just, if you're going to win the World Cup, you're going to need to be the best teams anyway, the Brazils, the Germanys. So I don't think, as we saw last night, Colombia are now resurgent. They fancy their chances against Senegal, I think. And Senegal, I've seen them, and they're a tricky team to play. So there's no guarantee that either England or Belgium are going to just walk through this last 16 anyway.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And also, Sam Wallace is in the Daily Telegraph today makes a very valid point as well. When you mention momentum, that they've actually got evidence of this going badly against them in 2016, where Roy Hodgson rested a load of players for their last group game against Slovakia, drew 0-0. And, of course, we know what happened in the next game against Iceland when the momentum was stalled somewhat.
Well, I mean, he's got the chance to put Marcus Rashford in there now. He didn't play at all yesterday, didn't even come off the bench. Vardy and Fabian Delph did. So he's got a chance now to maybe rest Raheem Sterling, play Rashford in behind Harry Kane, see how that works. Maybe take Kane off as he did after an hour and put Vardy on. So maybe put Gary Cahill into the team. So he's got options. He's got options. He doesn't need to change the whole team. He might change 3 or 4 players, but I don't think that will be detrimental to their chances in Kaliningrad. But I'm all with the rainbow of England, and I don't know how crazy it's gone over there, but I mean, in terms of the fans here yesterday, there was about 4,000 or 5,000 of them, all in good spirits. Lots of neutral Russian fans actually, shouting "Russia, Russia" at times, and a few whistles from the English fans. But what was most, it got a bit annoying that every time England scored, they played Lightning Seeds Football's Coming Home. So I heard that about 7 times. I heard it 6 times for the goals, and I heard it at the end. So they're almost trying to make it like a home atmosphere for England, and it seemed to work a bit yesterday.
Yeah, how has that whole England-Russia relationship been so far? Almost, apart from those clowns in the pub doing the Nazi salute, there's been no real stories about English fans getting in trouble or any violence against them that I've seen.
No, and I think that the Russian hospitality here has been exceptional. They're on their best behaviour. Maybe they don't need to be on their best behaviour because they're nice people in the first place. But the organisation of this World Cup has been top-notch, absolutely superb. And there is, as I've said before, a significant police presence. I mean, I was pretty vigorously searched yesterday, throwing my laundry all over the floor and everything. It's pretty embarrassing, but and then they were quizzing me on what a selfie stick was. But the army were in here on Saturday night in Nizhny Novgorod, where I've just come back from. I just get the sense from anybody, first of all, if people are friendly to you and if they're welcoming you with open arms, you're going to go, that's great, I'm going to have a good time then. If they're giving you the cold shoulder, you might retreat from that a bit. But there's been a really warm welcome in Volgograd and yesterday. for the England fans with the Russians. But also, the second thing I would say is the presence of the police and the different types of police and the different, like, they're in different uniforms. Like, you got the plain clothes, and then you got your kind of ordinary police, and then you got like guys in kind of combat kind of gear who are kind of, I think, a more military style police. You don't want to get into trouble here. You just don't want to get into trouble. A policeman came over to me the other day and said, I was like wandering around with my Google Maps, because you have to go under a lot of kind of roads here. You can't just cross roads and jaywalk. You have to go under tunnels that don't really have pedestrian crossings. And I was kind of dazed and confused. And he just came over to me, and I was kind of, what's he going to ask me here? Is he going to ask my papers or anything else? And he just said to me, when Google Translate, he says, can I help you? And I said, thank you. And then they walked me over to the next part of the place I needed to go. So, look, I don't expect any issues. Kaliningrad is more near Poland than Russia, but I don't expect any issues in the tournament.
What do you like from what you're seeing in terms of the football then, before we let you go here? We were saying a little bit earlier on that, you know, traditionally you want the superpowers to make the last 8 semi-finals and final, because otherwise it might feel like it's some kind of weird anachronistic World Cup. But having seen Colombia, having seen Croatia, I'd love to see Colombia, Croatia, Belgium and somebody else making up the latter stages of this tournament in a way that, you know, just to blow some freshness through the whole thing.
Well, I said, I think the other day, that I wondered if this was the Trump or Brexit World Cup, in that we have not a team lacking in quality that wins, but it's just in terms of a team of novelty that comes out, like Croatia, like you say, like Mexico. I think what we're looking for, Ger and Owen, is a balance. And I think my favourite moment of the World Cup so far has been Tony Kroos. That was absolutely fantastic. That was an on-the-line moment. Your World Cup, the humiliation of being world champions and going out of the group stage for the first time, potentially, I think it would have been a done deal since 1938. It's all on the line, and he puts it in the corner of the net with that free kick. Oh, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And it was the hallmark of champions. I think that makes Germany very dangerous if they can sort out their issues. Obviously, there's a bit of stagnation there, but Lowe is now performing surgery. That, for me, was the moment. After Ronaldo, that was the moment. Ronaldo was the first moment. The second moment was Kroos. And then on the other side, you have your moments like Mexico, which was a great story when they beat Germany. So I think you're right. I don't think I would have wanted to see Germany out of the competition. But I don't want to see a lopsided balance. I think what we want to see is a balance. I'm enjoying the unpredictability of it. I think that's the biggest thing I'm enjoying so far, is the unpredictability. I'm looking forward to seeing Brazil this week as well. You
watched that game in a fan park. Was that your first time you kind of seen one of those full operation?
Yeah, it was a FIFA Fan Fest, very well organised again. The locals in Nizhny Novgorod really were interested in it. I met a taxi driver the other day who was just so happy to be talking to foreign nationals at a World Cup. He had a Sweden jersey on. When I said I was from Ireland, he just started shouting, whiskey, whiskey. And I started shouting, vodka, vodka back at him. And he was looking for a souvenir. And then he saw me later and he just started shouting. And I just thought it was a beautiful thing that these, in a closed city 30 years ago, a former communist city that was closed, that these people, the Panamanians were fantastic. They scored their first goal at the World Cup finals yesterday. They're here for a good time, and they were just brilliant, and they were great in that fan fest. They were great, jumping around and singing their songs. So, but a lot of Russians watching it. It's a completely new thing for them, and it's like, I suppose, it's like Euro 2020. If we didn't qualify for Euro 2020, of course we want to be at the Aviva seeing these teams playing. So I think you've got a lot of that, and I expect now to see a significant Russian presence today when they play Uruguay at 5 o'clock to see who tops Group A.
John, great stuff. Enjoy the rest of it. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, Owen.